Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alien versus Predator Galaxy podcast, the original Alien and Predator podcast. This is regular host Aaron Percival, aka Corporal Hicks, and joining me are my fellow Weyland-Yutani synthetics or young predators, depending on what we're going for today.
Adam Zeller, aka RidgeTop.
Eric Adams, aka Xenomorphine.
Greg, also known as still collating.
And we are back for an emergency council of the AvP Galaxy podcast for something that we did not fucking expect to happen today. Well, not today. We're not recording it on the day of release. We did not expect to happen this week. The Predator Badlands trailer dropped. So,
Woo! Finally.
Hell
We didn't have to wait too long after CinemaCon, and I was going to go to that movie trailer thing in the theaters until I saw someone post about it, and they were like, nothing you want to see is going to be shown here. And I was like, oh, man. And then the next day we got the trailer, so that was nice.
was it? I thought it was the day of.
I think it was the next day, because it was
Okay.
Tuesday night, and then Wednesday morning we got the trailer.
Okay. So, well, that would be the reason why it was not shown at the AMC thing, I guess. Shall we watch/listen for the audio people to the trailer first, and then we'll have a natter and hopefully not go for 3 hours. So let's.
We better not go for 3 hours, but yeah, let's do it.
You're so hopeful.
I am. I believe in us. We did it once.
Let's
We've never
go.
done it again.
I didn't think you survived. You're hunting something that can't be killed.
That music is fantastic. I really, really like the music for this trailer.
Yeah.
It's a pre-existing song, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although some
Or-
are saying it sounds like Yautja's being chanted at some
See,
point.
did you
There's
not hear
one
it?
part.
Did you not hear it,
Yes.
Adam?
Yeah, no, I thought it was too. So I thought it was music from the movie, but apparently not.
No, it's
'Cause I know
just
that-
coincidental, yeah.
Yeah, there
I
were
believe it is coincidental, yeah.
strings at one point, and I was like, Sarah Sachner, I hope we have her back. And I still hope we have her back. But yeah, that is how you do a first trailer, for sure. I think that is going to get people very interested in the movie.
So, Greg, who's the band people think it is?
Well, there's been speculation online that it's the band The Who, which is a kind of Mongolian chanting rock band that I don't know too much about, but they they've been generally used in a lot of types of media as well, and they're a prominent group in their sphere. So I do get some of the tracks do sound similar there. So I really wouldn't be surprised if it was used there. But even if it was or wasn't, the vibe that the track produced, along with all of the little details visually that we see, it really gets you hyped up. So quite an effective mix for a trailer, and it's only a teaser trailer. Is it called only a teaser, right? Yeah.
Well, it's certainly generating discussion and eliciting reactions. So, should we start with Deck first? Yeah, okay. Let me throw him up on the screen. So, for our audio listeners, Oh, actually, before we get too much into it, this is going to be a dirty episode, guys, and by that I mean I'm not editing it. So if Adam deliberately starts lip smacking to piss me off, or you hear random noises, I'm sorry that we haven't gone through and cleaned this, but this was just we'll record and we'll drop it straight away.
Why are you
episode.
putting it on me? We smack our lips to speak. That's how language works, Aaron.
You
But I'm
very
keeping myself
deliberately
muted.
before we started this.
That was just to torment you because
exactly
you're such an audio freak.
So yeah, for our audio listeners, who wishes to describe Deck? The Deck being the name of the predator.
So we're just starting
protagonist.
with this image now, are we? That's been making the rounds online. So yeah, this is our younger predator. I honestly, I wish you would have pulled this one up first. I really like the shot of him on the beach with his cloak and his mask. I thought that was just such a cool shot. But this is the shot that a lot of people have been talking about here because it's our first real good face look at this new predator design. I mean, I loved the feral predator in Prey, but it was a controversial design. And although it does seem like this is kind of going back towards that more traditional predator look, this is also going to be a controversial design. It already is.
Which is already, yeah, has already proven it to be. So this predator Deck, the main differences, I guess, really here are the mandibles and the dreadlocks. He is wearing them in a ponytail and top knot fashion throughout the trailer. His head's smaller with less of a crown. And I mean, you can't really see it in this particular shot, but I think the mandibles are also not quite as tucked in as the normal one. And they've gone for a more tan, orangey kind of skin tone to Deck. Initial reaction, gentlemen.
I was kind of confused when I first saw him. We've heard from the initial previews that were a week ago or something like that, that the face is going to be more of a classic look. So I was really kind of interested to see how much of the classic look will be there. And as we see, yeah, the facial structures are there, but again, another very, very original take, which after seeing also the trailer for Killer of Killers, we can understand that Dan likes to give his predators a lot of individuality. So seeing those dreadlocks, interesting. Yeah, the top knot design, which we've seen similar things in Predator lore before. The main strange parts for me are the kind of hairline, if we can call it that, or dreadlock line that we do not see at the back of the head, kind of tucked up, which we see normally with top knot hairstyle design. So it's kind of strange to me to see none of those tendrils there. But knowing the predator skulls we've seen from previous media, that's the thing that's strangest to me. And also the implication, which probably you also people have noticed, that the dreadlocks are a lot more pronounced on the forehead, which kind of implies that all of the other predators that we've seen to date that are probably older but have a kind of receding hairline, which is something that we weren't really thinking was a possible kind of design language there. So I don't dislike it, but I do probably need some time to get used to it. I'm giving the face a chance, definitely.
Adam?
I think I'm more positive than negative. The thing that does stand out to me most is just how far forward on the head the dreadlocks come there, like kind of connecting right into the forehead there. And Dan certainly likes his thinner dreadlocks, as we've seen with all the predators in the trailer, because there's actually 3 predators in this trailer. And on the older predator you see, he has white dreadlocks, and they are more kind of in a traditional position on the backside of the head. So it does make you wonder if maybe it's a developmental thing where the crown kind of grows in over time, or if, again, like we've had so many predator subspecies in recent movies, I'm kind of already headcanoning it like, well, his mom was a feral predator and his dad was a classic predator, and that's why he looks like that. But I'm honestly not against it. I just know, I mean, we've already seen some fan edits of the design, fan photoshops of the design. So I know it'll be a little controversial among fans. I know some have said it feels like the predators are a bit too humanized here in just their look and their stature, with smaller heads. We're not seeing wrist blades, we're not seeing cloaking or plasma casters, or we're seeing swords here. And so there has been some discussion about that. But overall, I mean, this is just a teaser trailer. We're only now just being introduced to some of this stuff. So they still look like predators. I'm kind of not with some of the sentiment I've seen online that's like, oh, where's the predators in this trailer? Like, these still look like predators, but it is kind of in keeping with Dan's design language and thinner dreadlocks, but pulling back some of the bigger changes we had with the feral predator.
Eric?
I don't mind the face. I think the animation of the brow is very impressive when it does that yell at the end there. I have seen the alterations some people have made online where the mouth is higher, and I hadn't realized it is actually lower than normal here. I do prefer those, but I don't have any problems with it. What I do have problems is, as has been said, the dreadlock. It looks like it's growing out the top of the head, and I hadn't realized that the implication, that means the others might have something of a Colin Robinson look about them. But when it's like this, when the dreadlocks are kind of away from the sides, you saw it in the trailer for the animated thing, Killer of Killers. I thought the one on there looked too much like a Klingon. This is
A bit too
somewhat
much
got,
like General Chang.
it's yeah. This has that kind of vibe as well. But I think it will look different when you see it from the side. That's the thing. Here you're seeing it dead on from the front, and I don't think it does it any favors. I think having them on the side, it adds something to that profile, and it's lacking here. But
Yeah, we
yeah,
do
the
see
rest
him
of
running
it's
here
fine.
when he goes
Yeah.
through these toxic plants. We
Yeah.
see it kind of from the side there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took me a second. I was like, whoa, that's
You see an
different,
ear
because
there.
it's a very, it's a smaller head shape than we're used to. Honestly, almost
Mm.
even compared to feral.
I'm not a fan of the only seeing swords and absolutely no wrist blades in this either. That feels really off to me. That feels like something
we
which is
might
iconic to
not
Predators.
have seen the entire arsenal, let's be honest.
Yeah. But I mean, even here you can see there's that gauntlet does not leave really much room for a blade on it. So
They
I
do
would
have
just
they do have
preferred.
two gauntlets, remember?
Yeah, maybe a blade module
Yeah.
will like snap right on the top of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, but it's
In terms of appearance, though,
looks okay. It looks like a
I
predator. I mean, it's
I am very vocal in terms of how much I fucking love Feral with his mask on and how much I hate it with his mask off. It swings from one of my favorite designs to my least favorite design within a single movie. And Dan had said on the podcast when we had him on, he thought he might have took it too far. And ever since then, I sort of got the implication that when he'd do another film, he'd rein it in. And he has. I think I think Deck is undeniably much more in line with the OG Predator. Looks far more like a Predator than Feral does. But I admit I'm not quite on board with it yet because it just looks strange. It looks like a Predator, but it looks strange. And that is because of the way that, like we said, it's the way the dreadlocks are coming out the top rather than the side. So it's kind of a very different profile to his appearance. But the thing is, I really, really love the top knot. I really, really love the ponytail. In Hunting Grounds, my Predator characters have the top knot. Ever since the OG comics, one of the characters is called Top Knot because that's how he wears his dreadlocks. So as a conceptual thing, I really like it. I just think it looks really strange as is, let alone without the biological implications of it. Because that must sort of mean that as the predator grows older, his holes that the dreadlocks are coming out of get pushed down.
That's what I wanted to mention, because you have the skulls in Predators, and you see those sockets on the side.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the biological implication here, or we're just hanging that hanging that excuse on the same excuse we use for every different predator appearance. Oh, it's just a different clan, is a different ethnicity, is a different subspecies, which I think is
Or
kind
it
of
could
boring.
be this is how they differentiate between sex and gender. Like I often said, maybe that was why the Predator 2 one looked different. One was male, one was female. Who knows?
I think
But
it is
yeah,
going to be
people are
more
gonna
of an
put that.
age thing because they've made a very big point over I say very big point. They've made a point in the interviews and
Calling him a he.
yeah, well, I mean more about him being younger.
Yeah.
So
I
maybe it is an age thing.
I'd also, to play devil's advocate for a second there, knowing what we see at the beginning of the trailer with the dinosaur Tyrannosaurus Rex skull, giving a crazy implication of how long this species has been doing the hunting around the side of the galaxy. In that sense, I can completely understand if their species has been around so long, then yes, you could have a bunch of physical variations within their facial morphology. I wouldn't have any kind of problems headcanoning that. I mean, if you've been around for tens of millions of years, then your species is going to have so many variations
Well,
there.
that's
Well,
if it's literally a dinosaur. It could just be a reptilian
Yes.
creature.
or they could have gone to the Hunter's Planet game preserve, where humans are cloning dinosaurs.
Oh.
But
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can put
deep cut there.
I don't think you can put too much stock in the skulls here. I mean, these are Easter eggs. Come on, we have
True,
the ID4 skull in the middle here. We have
But some people don't know if it is the ID4. I've seen the
or the
theory
War of the
that
War of the
yeah.
Worlds.
There's
but
a
I
lot
mean,
of different.
it's a
just
Fox
flared
franchise,
skull,
so I'm
yeah.
guessing it's ID4, and we have Planet of the Apes right next to it. So, yeah, I think these are Easter eggs here. I don't think they don't expect people to. Well, I mean, I guess they have to expect fans will dig into this stuff. That's a giant possum skull. My girlfriend told me right there. I think
Which one?
the big one that your cursor's right by. I think.
Okay.
And then there's a large human-like skull above the human skull. So I know some people have been saying that's an engineer. Yeah. So.
And someone's going to say, "Oh, look, those look like necklaces from Wakanda, and it's in the Marvel universe now."
Come on, this is a fun point.
I mean, Predator has hunted Black Panther in the comics recently, so
Yeah.
You can't turn your nose up at that, especially after AvP. The AvP tease in Predator 2. You can't turn your nose up at that. But
also, sorry, go ahead, Aaron. Finish your thought.
Immediately, I'm like, yes, this is not boring silver. This is slightly more warm tone. Not quite Predator 2, but certainly more interesting than the boring look that we've had recently.
And it's got the yellow lights, circular lights from above, which is very in keeping with Predator 2.
Yeah.
I did notice there is an empty space under the T-Rex skull, so I'm like, they're going to put a Xenomorph skull right there. They're just waiting to show us in the actual movie theater.
I would completely not doubt that, especially with the sheer amount of Weyland-Yutani that we see throughout this trailer. So cat's out of the bag there. I think Adam had been holding on to that one as quite a secret for a little while.
Well, we both were. I mean, we were thinking about, just doing a post saying this movie would have some connections to Alien, but we figured we'd hold back on that. But Dan decided to reveal the surprise in the first trailer. For those that are keen-eyed, you can see there are a number of Weyland-Yutani logos around. So you know what that means.
I mean,
I
it's
was
not
shocked.
exactly. It's not really, because ever since Predator 2, Alien has been canonized within at least the, what you call it, the Predator-verse. So it's always going to be there.
It's one of those interesting things, isn't it? And it's one of those things where the real world legality and licenses gets involved and all that kind of bullshit that became a bit more evident and apparent as we have as a fan base have matured and more people have interacted with us from the official side of things. But I think AvP Predator has always embraced that side more, ever since, like you said, the Predator 2 skull, and then the Predator references the OG. How dare you, Aaron? References the AvP movie. So Predator has always embraced it, but given Steve Aspel's comments about building in towards an AvP, this is a very nice, I don't want to say subtle way of doing it because it's not fucking subtle, but it's a nice, natural way of doing it because it sets it firmly within Alien. We have a Weyland-Yutani synth here. We have Weyland-Yutani vehicles with the logo slapped on the side of it.
Doesn't feel too on the nose. It feels like acceptable. You can tolerate this. It's just,
and it's exciting. I mean, I find it exciting, the idea of actually getting a lead up to a new AvP, because that's what it feels like. It feels like a tease more, but I think it feels more like a substantial tease more than the Predator 2 skull ever did.
I was very excited the first time I watched that, like, what was happening with the eyes? And then remembered Andy and like, oh my god, no, they didn't. And then I was like, okay, but maybe just a little kind of Easter egg type tease. But then rewatching it again and pointing out the details, oh, we have the Weyland-Yutani logo literally on her kind of jumpsuit in another scene. And then we have the Weyland-Yutani logo on the truck vehicles, and also written out in the full name right next to that logo, and also on with a decapitated kind of synth leg with the white fluids in one of those final scenes. And I was like, oh, this isn't just a little Easter egg subtle. This is a real connection. And I wasn't really sure that they were going to go with that hard connecting things with the Alien side there. So I internally was screaming with joy seeing this. Like, they're going full on with trying to connect this. So I'm really happy and excited about that.
And I know sometimes with some of the Predator books, when they've had stories in the future, they've tried to kind of have it be its own thing and not connect it too heavily to Alien. You remember in what was that? Was it Forever Midnight, Aaron, where they had the
orbital drop Marines or something
right
like
instead
that.
of the Colonial Marines? So it is cool to see those future Alien elements here, because it just makes us, based on some of the other comments that directors and studio execs have been saying lately, it seems like they are doing the franchise building here, and eventually this will lead to AvP again. I can only imagine.
I think also when you have references like this, even if it's just kept to this, and let's be honest, there'll probably be more than this, but even if it's just kept to this, I think it always works better when you're doing references when it serves the story. And I think here the logical reason they've probably done this is they keep that character as a synthetic to give the Predator a reason not to just take her head, because it will probably do the scan and it will go, oh, you're not an organic being. I don't care about you because she's not a trophy. I think that's probably what, and they've probably gone, okay, why would she be a robot? Let's set it in the future. Weyland-Yutani references, and you've got ready-made synthetics, and people will just accept it. I think that's probably the most logical reason why they put that in there. But wouldn't surprise me if we get pulse rifles or something. I know some people have already commented, "Are we seeing pulse rifles?" But
Yeah,
There was a weapon that you
yeah,
could
you can
kind of
see-
see.
there's a group of people approaching the predator or synthetics approaching the predator, and you can see they have these weapons with these kind of blue accents on them. And in one shot, you can kind of see them, and they do have a pulse rifle-esque look about them, maybe.
I'm
I
not
don't-
too sure about the
with a
shape.
viewer.
No,
maybe
It's
not.
possible.
Yeah, they just look like futuristic guns, I guess.
It doesn't always have to be pulse rifles, as much
That's
as
true.
I'd actually like to see a pulse rifle in a Predator film. But you know,
Hyperdyne
color
rifle.
Yeah.
design wise, the whitish kind of guns with blue sights and the blue lighting accents is completely. I mean, it's not hard to come up with it on your own, but in Aliens Fireteam Elite, that's the color
Weyland-Yutani.
design.
That was
yeah,
their
for
weapons. Yeah, the
Weyland-Yutani.
white and blue accents is a good point.
It does somewhat indicate it is for a civilian / corporate use, though, because those blue lights, they stick out a mile, and if the military was using them, they go, okay,
Yeah, I'm pretty
that's
sure-
where we shoot.
I think these are Weyland-Yutani mercenaries here. That's my assumption.
Yeah, I'd be very. I'm really looking forward to picking Dan's brain after the film comes out, actually, because, like Greg said, you know, that is a detail from a game. It is a detail from the expanded universe. This film and everything that we've heard about it, this trailer, sorry, should I say, and everything we've heard about the film, you know, shows in a very heavy embracing of things that feel expanded universe, things that feel fan lexicon. So I hate this, and I'm sure Adam's going to fucking giggle in a second, but I absolutely loathe the term Yautja Prime that Dan's been using
Right, I
in
did too.
the
Are you hopeful we'll see
interviews?
an ape suit?
No, no, I don't expect to see an ape suit in this one.
Right.
But you know,
Good catches.
Dan using the term Yautja Prime lets me know he's been thoroughly reading through Xenopedia, and fan lexicon is now making its way more heavily into the official lexicon. I know Adam always likes to bring up that timeline that the Predator app posted, but that
Star
also
Map.
used the term Star Map, whatever. That used the term, but that is such a fandom term that has weaseled its way into official
it's like, say,
stuff.
calling Earth Human Prime.
And
Also, if they
Xenomorph
can-
Prime, Xenopedia
Yeah.
has it as well. It makes me fucking cringe. I genuinely loathe that.
It's very. See, the thing is, I've heard him talk about Yautja and stuff in interviews, and I'm a little bit dreading, especially when I heard that Yautja in the music, and then it turned out to be coincident. Canonizing the term Yautja just because it
Well, they
does
say
feel
it
like
in
it
the
would
Predator.
be. Yeah, it feels like it would be giving the blessing to Steve Perry's interpretation.
Yeah,
and
which is
I
always a
know
worry.
Aaron and me, I know we agree that that's way too honor obsessed interpretation. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want that to be here.
Although
Please
to
give
be
them
fair,
an original name.
To be
New
fair,
one.
the first Prey isn't as bad as the expanded universe eventually takes it. I revisited Prey, as in AvP Prey, Perry's first novel. I revisited it last year, actually about a year ago. I'd have been reading it around about now. Sat on a beach in Dominican Republic, reading AvP Prey and then Aliens Bishop. But no, I reread it. And I was like, actually, this isn't as bad as I remember. It's the rest of the EU that took this and turned it too much into a very Klingon-esque kind of thing. So if they stick closer to Deshande and Top Knot and that sort of interpretation, I don't hate it. But if they go full on, they're just reading through Xenopedia for the interpretations, then that's when I start to worry a little bit.
Well, in that recent interview with Dan, he did mention his kind of approach to Predators, that he doesn't see them as a generic slasher villain in that sense. He mentions that their code, if I'm remembering correctly, is something that is interesting to him. So uh, maybe your concerns with the use of Yautja and the direction that it might be heading, maybe there is something to that. We shall see. But at the same time, Dan's film Prey also, it wasn't the classical kind of honorable Yautja that we were expecting. So even though Deck will be a bigger focus here, and the protagonist, how they say, I don't think we're going to go the route of completely good guy samurai cliche predator thing. It seems we are getting a different kind of approach, but with a lot of EU elements.
It's just a balance to strike, because I've seen the code and the honor thing done well. I mean, even Predator 2, honestly. And then it kind of gone overboard where it's just they lean way too heavily into that. But as they say, in Dan we trust. So hopefully he manages that, because we'll be seeing, I think, more of the Predators' culture and interactions with each other in this film than we've ever seen before. So that'll be a huge aspect of the movie. Aaron has just brought up a really cool shot here from the trailer where we see Deck laying out his weaponry atop of a stone here. We can see in the background there's a backpack, which looks like the same backpack that Farrell had in Prey. There's also these little metallic balls here, and I'm wondering if those are the nets we saw in Prey.
The net balls, yeah. I
That
think
looks
so.
like slightly a different design. Deck's hand is on a collapsible spear, and next to that, I'm wondering if it's his sword that's collapsed.
I think so.
Um,
I saw some people, and I had this reaction as well. Go, is that a bow?
Yeah,
But
I
then,
thought that as well.
but then thinking about it, we've also seen Dan share on Instagram the sort of hilt of what looked like a collapsible sword anyway, and we've seen in the trailer, flick. Collapsible is probably the wrong term for it, because he flicks it out in that big long shot of Deck in the, well, I assume Deck of a predator in the cave, and it's a flick out kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's a sword. I don't think it's a bow, as cool as that would be. But I actually really like what we're seeing of the swords. I know some people, and we've said it here, of go, there's no predator, iconic predator stuff. There's just too many swords. And I'm like, you know what? I really like it, because it also kind of shouts to Tristan Jones's one of his NECA cover arts. I can't remember which predator figure it's for.
Is Borg, I think.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
it looks like that sort of sword with the red the red accents to it.
Yeah.
I do hope we get a shoulder cannon. I do hope we get a wrist blade or something, at least at some point in it. But them using other equipment is one of the highlights of the different films as well. You know, getting to see them expand out the armory and the choreography of what they're going to do. And besides, the OG Predator was supposed to use a sword, which then didn't make it into the film, but then made it into Predator 2 as a bit of costume dressing for Greyback, if I remember rightly. So, you know, it's Swords of Predator. They've been in there all along, guys. I'm very curious to see how it's handled in the full film, because you know we only see some bits of it in the trailer, but I'm actually quite interested to see how that one's put across.
Yeah, I mean, we had swords in the game Predator Hunting Grounds. We've had a number of swords in that one now, and it is an element of predator weaponry that I actually have thought was intriguing that we didn't see much of in earlier times. So it is cool to see that finally on the big screen here. So I'm not against it. I think it looks pretty cool, honestly. And the fact that they are like heated blades, it kind of makes me think back to the Predator heating up his wrist blades in Predator 1, and that was an element we never saw again. Or maybe Dan played a lot of Cyberpunk and he liked those thermal swords in that game. So
There's no death frisbee though. I'd like to see that again, and no shuriken stuff. I think that's
that we've seen so
throwable.
far as well. Let's
Yes.
remember we're only
Let's
basing it on
hope.
these, but
I prefer those to like grenade type things when they're things that return to the predator. So.
yeah, we really haven't seen the smart disc for a long time. And as much as I like the shurikens, it'd be nice to actually see a new take on the smart disc. But I'm happy with what we're seeing here. If those are the netball grenade things, that's fine by me. The swords look cool, and a spear is. Have we seen a spear in every one other than the first film? I think we have, haven't we?
We haven't
Did
seen in the
Fugitive use one?
Predator spear.
Yeah, I
No.
don't think. Well, technically, you saw the AvP one, but I don't think you
Yes.
saw it. No, the big guy used. No, he used like a harpoon, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
There's
He
a
yes, it
harpoon
was
thing.
the
shot
yeah.
his.
I don't think Predators had a spear, did it?
It did not.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so maybe it's not been in everything, but that that's another one that I think is very iconic as a Predator design, just because the fucking concept of this telescoping spear from Predator 2 was brilliant. So I'm happy to see that again.
Has anyone on the forums looked to see if like that blade arrangement is the same as the AvP stuff, or is it an original prop? Do we
It
know?
looks original to me. That doesn't. I know
The
some people
hilt
have
looks
said
very
that's
different.
the Elder
Mm.
Spear from AvP, but I mean, I don't. It looks different to me personally.
It's
think-
certainly different regarding the details. It is not the same one from AvP. Just when you look at the little things, the kind of prongs at the end from these images, it seems that there's either 3 or maybe even 4 of them, whereas with AvP there's just 2 on each side, and generally you can see the little details. It's definitely a new kind of prop, but yes, it is very similar and more inspired towards the AvP type spear than the Predator 2 one. That is something. But generally, yeah, I'm very happy to see more weapons and new arsenal for the Predator. That is something I deeply believe that every new Predator should have. Some new types of weaponry. Yeah, combination of some old ones and something new. But this is an interplanetary species with individuals and different clans. So having each clan having their own preference for different types of weaponry is completely okay with me. Yes, would I like to see a plasma caster or something like that and wrist blades? Always. But let's see what they do with these swords.
It's funny because the plasma people are complaining about the plasma caster, lack of plasma caster in the trailer and lack of cloak in the trailer. I say people, it's not a wide complaint, but I have seen it. But it's funny because those are the things that I've always been like, that's not very honorable. When we talk about the Outer and stuff, I'm like, that's not very honorable at all. Why would that be fair game to shoot far sophisticated technology, weaponry, and have this such, albeit flawed, but such good cloaking? So I think that's funny. I think that's funny with the way it's embracing seemingly the EU and the lack of it from the trailer.
And so we have our Elder Predator here coming up. It looks like he's cut off.
Presumably.
Yeah, it looks like he's cut off a Predator's arm in the next shot. He's got these cool antler-looking accents to his mask. It kind of reminds me. There's an Instagram user, LRL Customs, who does a lot of custom figure accessories and masks. And one of my favorite ones that he did was this mask for the Shaman Predator, which is like a Wendigo mask and has these huge antlers on it. So it is cool to kind of see that design here.
And people have also been mentioning the Kenner clan leader.
Yeah, the NECA redesign of the Kana clan leader. I see a lot of similarities with that. It was another moment where my mouth just gaped open, like, what? It can't be that. They can't be using such a specific reference there. So I'm very, very curious when you have the chance to speak with Dan when the film releases to see if that was an intentional inspiration or not. But it does see the possibility there is because the clan leader in the kind of bio that NECA kind of wrote there was that it's the ultimate kind of clan leader king on Yautja Prime. So since we are already on Yautja Prime for some duration, it very well could be that clan leader. So we shall see.
I also was reminded of some unused mask designs for Feral that Kyle Brown did for Prey. Not quite antlers in the way that this looks, but it had some big horn protrusions on it that Kyle had deliberately mentioned as being inspired by Kenner. So I was reminded of that as well. Not quite the same, but also makes me wonder if Dan maybe dipped back into some of the unused concepts for Prey and was like, okay, let's build on this. But it's certainly interesting. I mean, it's very striking, a very unusual look to a cinematic Predator.
Also has the cloak, I think.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of Viking kind of
Well, I was thinking
inspiration in what
like
we're
from AvP cloak.
I don't know, because this one feels more like heavy Game of Thrones kind of
What do
woolen
you mean, like a
cloak.
cape?
It's the feathers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
feathers. And like even the haircut, the hairstyle that Deck has is quite Viking in.
Yeah, people have compared Deck to the main character from the show Vikings, which has kind of a similar hair thing going on.
So I wonder if that's a deliberate thing. And I wonder whose arm we actually see him cut off there. Because
Yes,
we haven't seen Deck have any sort of
Cybernetic limbs. Or anything.
cybernetic, unless they go in that these are lizard guys and will regrow limbs.
No, please
And
don't.
yeah, I'm joking.
Predators seem to have a lot of bad luck with their right arms going missing.
It's tradition. It's absolute Predator tradition.
I have to admit that from the very few details we see regarding the plot from the trailer there, I don't see a lot of connection with what we've gotten again in the most recent interview. Have you all seen what Dan has told about what's the premise of Deck and the whole actually beginning of the movie in that sense?
Well, maybe we won't go into like if people want to avoid some of
We
that
can.
stuff. But
No, this is going to be a spoiler episode. If you want to not hear this, Dan in an interview. Well, no, they showed off the first 20 minutes unfinished, a little rough around the edge of special effects to a bunch of press. And Bloody Disgusting did a good write up of it. And Adam, I think you should read it.
okay, I will read it. But so essentially, there's a family feud going on between some predators, is what he talks about, and we see him fighting another predator in the trailer here, which I'm pretty sure is his brother. I think that's the father predator. I don't know if he cut off his own son's arm there, Deck. I don't think so, because again, we don't see he's not missing a limb later, or he doesn't have a prosthetic later. So
Maybe from the brother.
maybe, yeah. I mean, we'd have to take a closer look if you want to pull those up, Aaron, of the scene where he's fighting the other predator. If we can see his arm missing. I think you're muted.
Yep.
I'm going to try and find them, yes. Continue to talk amongst yourselves.
But yeah,
But
I
it is
mean, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to agree there that it is interesting that it seems we're getting the first film that we have a Predator family feud. So there are a lot of firsts that we're getting with this film that just combined with the little information we've got from that interview and the bunch of visual information we've got from the trailer. I mean, having a young predator, probably the first hunt.
Which is what the trailer,
himself.
not the trailer. It's what the poster says.
Yes,
it specifically calls it out as being his first hunt.
But his last chance.
So that means that the trophies aren't his trophies. So even if we're saying that the predators have been around a very old, Deck himself might not be very old. If this is his literal first hunt.
Also,
I doubt
that's
Deck is 65 million years old. Yeah.
Yeah, it should also, but if that was just one wall, it could be that, the camera moves and there's another wall and another wall, because that's actually a small amount of trophies, so wouldn't surprise me.
It looks like he has both of his arms there, the other predator character as well. And I think
So-
that's Deck on the ground.
So
rolling
maybe
up.
we
But
see
maybe
him killing
after the
a
fight.
fourth predator, or maybe that's well after all this for all we know.
Like the one who lost, you shouldn't have lost. Off with their arm. I don't know. We shall see.
This is
Some
his
tough love in the
Yoda.
Predator family.
This is his Yoda versus Palpatine moment where he goes into exile.
I
More-
am really curious. This looks a bit more interesting than Upgrade versus Fugitive.
Oh God, yeah.
By a
And
million
That
percent.
wasn't
Yes.
a thing. That was just over.
Or
Yeah.
even Classic versus Mr. Black, which is the first
Yeah.
time we saw Predator on Predator action.
And it's another interesting consideration here in one of the early shots of this fight is the way the mask cradles the sweatback dreads.
Yeah, so if his crown does change, he'll have to have that thing
A
adjusted
new
later.
mask. So that seems to be I kind of wonder now what came first, the mask or the top knot in this, because in Prey, the mask had to look a certain way to fit in the the face had to look a certain way to fit in the mask style with the dreadlocks exposed. Not dreadlocks, mandibles exposed. So I think it's an interesting look. I am so excited for that bit. The funny thing to me is I said, stop doing Predator fights. I'm bored of it. You've done it twice in the films. You've done it poorly in the films. Let's move on from that concept. But just from these scenes here, seeing them swinging not laser swords, heated swords at each other. I'm like, yes, come on, let's give me some longer choreographed fights between two predators.
Well, better. I do like how you get that circular notch in them. They are basically massive wrist blades. So I really appreciate that they did that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it does look like an extended wrist, a lengthened wrist blade, which is nice, especially because of how we didn't get to see the massive ones in AvP really used. So this is a nice alternative, I suppose.
Yeah, still has that design language. So, and I mean, regarding the Predator fights, yeah, it didn't even occur to me that, yeah, probably some of us were kind of thinking that maybe Predator fights shouldn't be done in the future because, yeah, they were just done poorly. It's not that Predator fights can't work; they were just done poorly, not in a very creative way. But if you fully utilize the environment, a actual thought out choreography, and of course adequate CGI to portray the dynamic movements of these characters, you can get some probably crazy scenes that from this trailer it seems that we will be getting some extremely fun roller coaster ride fun levels of Predator on Predator action, Predator on Alien action, probably the bunch of red shirts on Alien or Predator action. So we shall be seeing some very, very fun scenes, I believe.
Well, we did see that big force of potentially Weyland-Yutani commando people. So plenty, I hope, of red shirt stuff. But this, I think, is the interesting thing. So the trailer shows us multiple different kinds of strange alien life on this planet. So again, from the interviews, we know that the idea is that Deck has gone to this specific planet. I forget the name of the planet. It was like Kessel or something. It's in one of the interviews.
Yeah, certain death translated something like the certain death planet or something similar, and it seems that Deck wants to go there, decides that if I understood correctly, he chose that place for his first hunt.
So the planet is Kalisk or the Death Planet.
There we go.
There's a space above and beyond joke in there. So there's a
I only ever
character in
made it through the
space-
first 5 episodes.
There's this character because they're like a bunch of Marines, and they say, "Oh yeah, you're going to this planet, blah blah blah," and the guy says, "It's never like Planet Chuckles. It's always Planet Death to the whatever." Got that here. I'm going to make a prediction here because in this trailer on this bit where you have this big Godzilla sized thing, you have the narration of, oh, you're trying to kill that thing, but it's unkillable. I don't think it's referring to this monster. I think it's referring to that clan leader or mentor or whatever it is. And this thing, Deck is not going to kill. You're going to believe he's killed, and then at the climax, he's actually going to ride it into battle. That's my prediction. That
It's
is what you're going
the
to see.
Rancor,
Yeah,
Predator
you're gonna
Badlands
see
Rancor.
that.
But it's interesting. The whole concept of there being more alien life. You know, I've said in the past as well. It's one of the things I think Predators missed out on, was not giving us more of the river ghost. Something I appreciated in the comics. But if this film more fully embraces the idea of the Predator hunting different kinds of aliens with lowercase a in it, I'm quite curious and quite interested to see how well it turns out, because this isn't the only alien creature we see in the trailer. It's not just the big Rancor kaiju thing, as the press like to describe it. There is also, at the very end of the trailer,
We see Groot.
Predator versus Flora.
Yeah. So this is some like twig-like appendages that start flying out of everywhere at good old Deck Boy here. I am very curious about that, because that's very unusual. Is this tentacles from a big creature? What's going off here? How do you guys feel about that?
This was the moment of the trailer where I was like, we're getting kind of fantastical here, and we'll have to see how it all plays out. But it certainly makes me think that the movie's going to have kind of a Predator comic book vibe, you know, with all this crazy extraterrestrial life here between this and this like enormous looking monster thing. I mean, it's cool to me, and that was one complaint about Predators, was just how Earth, the otherworldly planet, felt. And it looks like the planets we'll be exploring in this film will definitely have a much more alien vibe to them and have much more hostile native life on them.
I was waiting in Predators from the first moment they mentioned about recognizable plants. I thought, oh, are we going to see like plant or vegetation monster somehow? And we didn't. And I'm glad they're putting it in here, because life comes in all types of, shapes and sizes. So that's always been a thing with it's like with the Alien, when you have the Predator and it's as geared up as it is, you think, well, what else is it for? And you've got a taste of that in Predator 2 with all those skulls, and you have that here. But now we're getting to see these are the kinds of things it does for fun.
Exactly. Yeah. It was always kind of there with the Predator 2 trophy wall. Those are some exotic looking alien fauna. So yeah, seeing this actually what it's like when the predators are against their living counterparts to get those trophies, it kind of all fits together. Yes, is it more comic booky? Is it more fantastical in that sense? Probably, yeah. Then, especially if we compare it to the alien side of the fandom that we've kind of learned to live with there. But again, from the start of the trailer, just seeing those epic, huge vistas, that setting, and then the buildup of the characters, the aura there, the action, the premise. Seeing this final scene, I was like, yeah, totally on board. Of course, this fits. So I think it all kind of meshes in very well with what we've seen there. Yeah, just look at that shot. I'm guessing that, especially the first kind of sharp rocky bits, that maybe those are the shots of Yautja Prime. I
Well, mate,
can't.
I'm sorry, Greg. I had
He can't help but hating that name.
an urge to
Oh,
vomit.
oh,
along,
that-
along with
name.
ovomorph and praedomorph and all those other trigger points for him. But yeah, this is a really cool cave shot here. I know I kind of saw it as like a reverse shot of the one in Prey, where you have the feral predator leaving the cave, whereas this one he's kind of looks smaller,
It's-
entering the cave.
It's very
Well, it's-
Mandalorian, this shot.
Yeah. And it kind of also, if you take it as being like a tribute to the feral seen from Prey, it also speaks to the increased scope of the film, because this is a much grander um, take on that concept. And you've got the alien planet or moon in the background, you've got triple suns or moons, whatever, in the background. It's like Greg said, it opens. Well, one of the earlier scenes, is the Predator on his speeder bike, which I'm good we didn't see more detail of in this, I'll be honest. I kind of wanted to have a better look at it. You kind of see it a little bit in the background with the clan elder, but you don't get a good look at it. It looked like it had a skull on it, and
I love that.
which was
More
cool.
tribal elements.
So that seems to be more of a Predator thing than potentially something stolen that I think Adam and I hypothesized on the Badlands Cinema Con video. But yeah, it does seem to have a much bigger scope, probably a larger scope than we've seen in any of the Predator stuff so far. So that's quite exciting to think about seeing that on the big screen.
I wonder though, with that tree monster, what does it take as a trophy? Do we see like a flower on the
Exactly.
wall and it turns out to be that kind of thing? In terms of tone, that was something I mean, I know this is a teaser, but I disliked about, because all we're getting is money shots. The thing I loved about what Trachtenberg did with Prey was we got a lot of tension. This feels more like, less like a Predator film. It felt more like a Riddick sequel. It didn't feel like it's got that tension in it that you get from The Hunt, which is what a Predator film really should focus on. So I'm hoping there's more tension in it. As of now, this felt a bit too money shot, money shot, money shot to me.
With it being from the Predator POV though, does it lose that tension from it not being the victim being hunted?
No, I think you can. I mean, the original Predator, you got a lot of tension when you see those from the perspective of the Predator stuff. That's where the
But that
tension
was
really starts
very
building.
tight,
Literal perspective, yeah.
unrevealed
But
stuff.
I think here you can get tension, especially with a director like this. He knows how to do tension. I don't think having the Predator as the protagonist eliminates that. And if we have the tension removed, I think it will lose something. That's one of my fears with this.
I mean, I think in his recent interview with Bloody Disgusting, he spoke to this. It's like, if you want that classic Predator experience, you can still go back and watch Prey and watch the original Predator. Like, and I love his description of this as like a big crazy swing, because it's like, yeah, this is what us fans have wanted. I think, at least some of us, for a long time, is seeing just something completely focused on the Predator, where he's not just a villain that gets defeated in the end, as has been time and again. Like, Prey tried a lot of new things. It was also a very back to basics Predator film, and it was really good for being that. But after we had that success, I think it's a really good choice to pursue this like bold, completely different new vision. And we're like, yeah, it's like Terminator 2, right? Like, Arnold went from being the villain in the first one to the hero in the second one, and no one was like, oh, what's this going to be like without like Arnold being the bad guy now? It was just a great movie. So
I think there is a possibility of still having tension if they play up the angle that this time the predator isn't just on a classical hunt. This is an underpowered younger predator that very well may actually be hunted by the big bad kaiju
Yeah,
or
that's a fair point.
clan father figure or whatever. So there is a possibility of Deck is gonna be in danger in one way or another. We'll just see
There's
if the
got to
tone.
still be an antagonist, if not several. There's still got
Of
to
course.
be that, yeah.
It
Of course.
could just be as well that the trailer just wants us to go to show off. Yeah, this isn't your daddy's Predator. We're bigger scope. We've got different things in play here. That's not what we're going to show you right now. What we want to get you amped up on. Again, it's only a minute and something teaser trailer, and we to be fair, I joked before we started recording we're not going to go 3 hours. To be fair, we did an hour per minute. If you think about the that trailer. We've been going just about an hour now, and the teaser was a minute long. So I think we're on track.
You're speaking about the Covenant trailer?
Yes,
That's the one we
I
did,
am.
right? Where everyone's like, "You guys, 3 hours."
On
The
the
first
3-minute
teaser trailer. You guys are
Yeah.
obsessed.
I will say
although-
that for a teaser trailer, this in terms of color palette and everything, it does have a weird vibe it's sharing with when they're doing teaser trailers for the Star Wars TV shows. For me, it feels a lot like one of those. Whether that's going to be in the finished product, I don't know. But you compare this to stuff like from The Mandalorian and Andor, it feels very on that kind of thing for me.
Yeah, I can see that. And speaking of the interviews, I just want to also point out something here that fills me with a lot of hope. But at the end of the day, Badlands is its own movie. It's not reliant on memorable skeletons or callbacks to prior releases or cheeky lines of dialogue. So if that means we get through this film without a single reused piece of dialogue, you know what? That gets an entire grade just off that alone.
What are the odds we'll either get it'll bleed or get to the
No,
chopper?
it's
What are
not.
the
It's
odds?
not allowed. No cheeky dialogue. It says there.
I think we'll still see some Easter eggs, and Dan said he was inspired by the expanded universe, so I'm sure there will be some things to pick up on there.
Well, you know
but at the
what we
same
haven't talked
time,
about?
what have we not talked about?
Speaking of the EU, this theory that Deck is
Oh.
actually a young broken tusk, or aka Deshande, because he has a broken tusk.
And it's the same broken tusk.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Same
it's his
placement.
lower left mandible.
Yeah.
I think the idea why people are considering that is because, I mean, besides the superficial visual similarities, is because we have the inclusion of Weyland-Yutani in the film, and people are theorizing an AvP kind of setup. So people are maybe getting a bit excited in the sense, oh, what if it's setting up Broken Tusk and an actual one-day adaptation of the comic, classical AvP. So I think that's kind of the reasoning behind hoping more than actual evidence that it's Deshande.
And is this where it turns out Deck is like his young name, and the predators get their own war names or hunt names, and that's when he picks Deshande?
Maybe.
Although
maybe.
wasn't his real name Tishinde? And Deshande was like some derogatory, strange knife.
It's been too long since I read Prey. We should do a podcast on that one.
Don't remember.
But the point is, yeah, is this just a visual reference to Broken Tusk from AvP? Is it a coincidental thing?
Yeah,
Is it?
I think it's a nod and a wink to either that one or the effects team. They worked on Wolf, and it's the same side of the head.
Yeah, well,
as you
Wolf
can
had
see
one
on the
as well, and
as
to
you-
be fair, the upgrade
Yeah.
also had a capped mandible, like
Oh,
a metal
yes.
mandible.
That's true. Yeah,
It could
as
be
you
a
can see
tribute to the upgrade, guys.
Yes,
I
it could.
don't think so.
On the background here, I've got that AvP shot. It's like different coloring. It's not the same. If it's that character, it's got a different look. And you'd think if they're trying to do that character, then do that character. This is Deck is Deck. I don't think.
Or maybe
It's
his
the-
skin color changes as he gets older.
but then
What's his
it's-
face? Greyback. When he was the Golden Angel, looked very different to Greyback. Maybe they get pigmentation changes.
I think they might. I just think if you're going to do that character, do that character, make it authentic. It could also be they'll show us that in Predator culture, they're using those mandibles for actual fighting and stuff, and having that kind of damage can be common. And in that respect, that can be a backstory for Deshande in an actual AvP movie. But I think it's just a little wink. I don't think it's meant to be literally that predator. But as we've just said, it's not the first time we've seen damage on that.
Yeah. So that's Eric's bet. It is not actually Broken Tusk. Do you pair want to make any wager on that one, just so we can come back to this podcast when the phone comes out,
I don't know. Maybe they'll
or when AvP
they'll
comes
set
out?
that up for this is our new Broken Tusk. Maybe Rain will be our new Machiko once AvP rolls around.
I'm skeptical that deck is Dashande there. I generally want to rein in my hopes regarding any sort of things related to potential future connections. But I will say this, Dan, prove me wrong. I will not be sad to be proven wrong about that fact. So I see it as a challenge there. I'll be skeptical until I see otherwise, but
Should
I
we?
hope I'm wrong.
Should we also take bets on if aliens show up in this?
I don't think an alien necessarily will, but it wouldn't surprise me if a chest burster or face hugger or like you see a queen's skull in the background or something. I don't think they're going to go full on, but you'll get more.
You know, what'd be really cool is if they recreated that old trading card scene that had the predator like looking at the face hugger in the tank. So
Yeah,
maybe he goes to like the
yeah.
Weyland-Yutani facility and sees that or something.
Although we don't know what year this is set yet.
Well, it's in the future, and there's Weyland-Yutani. So Alien Earth is showing that is it's probably within that time frame.
You muted,
Be
Greg.
just can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine now. You're fine.
Oh, sorry. But it could also be just an alien egg in a crate, like the smallest Easter egg in a corner, or at the end, some after credit scenes, just having the visual texture of an alien egg opened. A crate fell down and opened. An alien egg AvP2 game opening style, something like that. I doubt we will see anything more. I'm not even sure of an egg. I think it's really too soon for them to make in such a big swing. But I wasn't expecting Weyland-Yutani to be so damn prominent. I thought maybe a little logo somewhere barely noticeable, like a company, a partner of whatever the main company I expected to be involved. So having this prominently, yeah, I'm not good at predicting that. So who knows?
Or it'll be the actress that might still be contracted. She'll get out of a cryo tube as an adult newt.
Brianna Watkins.
Dear
Yeah.
Lord.
Oh man, I think I'd cry.
Well, I mean,
But
it
are
could
we
be-
betting?
we don't know what happened to Alexa Woods, and the comics
True.
have gone into their taking character. So wouldn't surprise me if you see a Sonar Lathan post-credit scene or something. But
Are we
I'm not
expecting a
betting on it.
post-credit scene then?
Oh yes, absolutely. There'll be something.
If there is a xenomorph, I think it would be there. But I don't know. What do you feel about a post-credit scene? Is that marvelizing things a bit too
No,
much?
it's not just Marvel. That's everything these days, really. It's franchise cinema now.
Have we had that with Alien and Predator much?
Well, we got the facehugger crawling around at the end of Aliens. You know, before it was cool.
I think Cameron said it wasn't meant to be taken.
I know he did
seriously,
say it
but
wasn't.
It was
supposed
just
to be taken
audio,
seriously.
yeah.
But it still happened. It's still there, and it's set up in Alien 3.
Yeah, that wasn't a scene. That was like something.
I
playing
know it was a
over.
funny. It was.
I
a
don't
funny
think we've
thing.
had them before, but as you say, it's. I think probably. I know with Romulus, there were some people disappointed there wasn't one because they stayed through all the credits and nothing. So,
I did.
yeah, you see, you're one. Yeah.
Just in case. I
case.
wasn't expecting too much, but just in case. Today, you can never be too careful regarding that. But yeah, none for Romulus. But knowing how crazy big
expecting
swings,
it though, right?
I wasn't completely expecting it. It was just in case for Romulus.
Yeah.
But for Badlands, seeing how crazy this is going, oh, I am definitely expecting it a tad bit more. Doesn't mean I won't be disappointed if there's not. it can be just as fine and cautious for them to not do anything afterwards. But if anywhere in these recent entries we would have a post-credit scene, I think Badlands is a probable candidate.
So
It looks
just
better with those dreadlocks.
well, just again for audio listeners. So I've just thrown up one of the fan edits of a deck with a more traditional looking predator crown and dreadlocks, and I don't know. I miss the ponytail. As weird as it looks.
Well, you could still put the dreads in a ponytail.
Yeah,
with,
true. So it wouldn't
with
look as weird.
That
But
configuration. It's just the dreads actually connect like right to the forehead. And there was another edit that I sent you, Aaron, that was on our Facebook group, which kind of even leans more into the traditional predator, which has a bigger head overall. But I don't know. You know, again, yeah, there it is right there. So you know, this is the direction Dan wanted to go in with this design. So I'm going in with an open mind about it. You know, Feral, I was just kind of like, whoa, like blown away by it at first, and then it really grew on me. So this could be the same here. But I mean, it is interesting to have directors and creature effects artists switch up the designs, and it's always a question of how faithful do you go while also trying something new and different. And admittedly, as Dan said when he talked to us, Aaron, that he felt maybe he did push the design a bit too far with Feral, although people still really love Feral, myself included. So it's going to be a question of preference. I've seen a lot of people really liking this design. I've seen others saying it's not great.
it's
Another
a
interest.
grower, I think.
It's a grower.
Yeah, it'll grow on
Might
you.
grow on you. So he's also, one of the things I noticed here is he's not wearing any netting. Again, this time he has kind of like this under shirt thing going on.
We haven't seen any netting since.
Since the
Wolf?
Predators.
Did Fugitive
Yeah,
not
yeah.
have any? I think Fugitive
I
had
don't think
netting.
he did.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I remember from the NECA toy Predator that it does. I think it doesn't have any. It certainly doesn't have on most
You're
of its
right.
body.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, he has netting on his legs actually.
On his legs, yeah,
Fugitive,
but he doesn't have on the body and the arms. Yeah.
I will
Then
say the skin looks a little too dry, and that can make you think it looks like rubber, even
Yes.
though the face is actually completely CGI. It does look too dry. I remember the original one did have some, I don't know if it was KY jelly, but they did put some slime over the skin, and it helped it look more organic.
Yeah.
He
'Cause
also
that's
sorry, Fugitive also had netting on his body. It was just mostly covered by armor as well. But what you could see of his torso had netting on it.
fair enough. So maybe that's just Dan's thing. He doesn't like the netting.
No, he doesn't. He said it in an interview. He doesn't like it.
yes, I have a memory of reading some interview somewhere. I need to find it to have an actual source, but where he was talking about his preference for making the bobbleheads non-existent, making it more proportional, and the nettings were reminding him of WWE wrestlers, and that he thought that was silly. So that's what he wanted to kind of completely change with Feral when that was being in talks. So I think, yeah, just his preferences are being continued here, but I need to find where it was. I'm almost sure I've read it somewhere.
Whereas I think Stan Winston originally put it in. It was either, I think it was just to look more interesting as a design, or it might have been influenced by the tribal stuff he was doing. But I mean, to me, it makes the Predator look more interesting, more exotic when it's got that kind of netting on it.
But then I'd
Well,
rather
it looks
focus on the
amazing.
armor and like the clothing detail that we're seeing here. But I mean, it's apples and oranges, really. Anything else you guys want to talk about, or have we covered this one?
I think we're pretty talked out, but I think overall, I'd say we're all feeling positive about it. I'd say it was a
Oh yeah, definitely.
good,
It'd be
successful
exciting.
first teaser, and yeah, I'm hyped. I can't wait to see more. You know, November can't roll around fast enough for me.
I would say I'm
Extremely hyped.
feeling positive. I'm still wait and see myself, though I do think it's verified. The more I'm seeing this, the more certain I am that the picture in the poster of a figure with a predator mask is not the predator. I'm pretty sure based on this, that's the female lead character who's the synth. It's not the predator.
Wait, what?
You know, on the poster that first it was the figure with the mask, and some of us said,
Oh,
"That's
I'm
not going to be
pretty
the
sure.
predator, that's the female
I mean, we
lead."
see that same
She's
shot
doing
in
a
the
Nolan.
trailer. I'm pretty sure that's Deck on the beach.
I
with
think
the
it's her.
poncho.
She's been collecting his stuff, and
I-
she's doing a Nolan.
I really
That's
don't
what I
think so.
think.
I
That's
mean,
my
if you
prediction.
pull that up, Aaron, I'm pretty sure that's Deck on the beach with his cloak. Like you can see his body, you can see his armor accents on there. I know that's been a question since that shot first appeared at CinemaCon. Is this really our predator? But I mean, to me, it was pretty clear it was Deck.
I could be mistaken. I just think that's her. She's been collecting things of this predator, and now she's tracked the predator down in the story. I think that's what. And then maybe she gives it to the predator. It's like in a Star Wars thing where they give the Jedi their old lightsaber back. Maybe that's the thing.
I do remember that people were kind of confused in the sense that that very first image when they saw the head looked like really big with that mask, so they were like, "Is the predator a bit too lean?" But again, seeing the rest of the trailer, no, the predator actually has a probably even smaller head than usual, and so the
Yeah, it
proportions
does.
are all there. So maybe
Yeah, they
that's
changed
what's
it.
kind of confusing maybe just the specific scene angle. So I'm not sure.
I think that's her. I don't think that's actually the predator. I think that's her, and she's been taking the mask and other things. That's my prediction.
It is his mask, though, from what we see in the opening.
And you can see his wrist gauntlet there. Like,
Yeah.
I do love this shot though, with him rising up here on the beach.
Well,
Like,
her.
a little bit more. The predator, come on, play it a little bit more where he rises up, Aaron.
There's not a lot to this scene. Sorry. Yeah,
There's something
that's
about
it.
that looks. I'm sure there's something about it looks like a woman's body under that.
I guess we'll see. I'll admit I was wrong if it ends up being her, and
Could
like
be.
he passed his armor to her at the end of the movie, and that's her now, and she's Machiko or
I think
whatever.
it's the other way round. She gives it back to him. He's buried it.
He does
somewhere
look
'cause-
raggedy ass in everything we see of him.
I mean, maybe that's the start of his journey right there. I mean, that to me, that's a shot like establishing, like, hey, this is our hero here. But we do see another scene in the trailer where like he falls off this cliff, and maybe that's where he gets like extra ragged or something.
It could also be one of those red herring things. The film kind of starts with you assuming it's the predator, and then the mask comes off, and it's her. And I could see a lot of ways for that to go.
Well, we'll find out soon.
We will find out.
Cool. Well, yeah, keep an eye out on avpgalaxy.net for all the latest Predator news. Let us know what you're feeling about the trailer or about any things we've said down in the comments below. And I think that's everything, gentlemen. Yep, cool. This has been Corporal Hicks.
RidgeTop.
Xenomorphine?
Still collating.
Get into the chopper.